Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is Marcus Rosa, aka Zuma TV, back at y'all with some more boxing talk, man. I hope everybody's having a blessed, beautiful, positive, productive night. I hope you had a great day overall, man. I'm back at y'all with some more boxing talk. We're going to be speaking about Errol Spence possibly making his comeback in June in Australia. We definitely going to be speaking about that. We're going to speak about Fabio Wardley versus Daniel Dubois and exactly what is going on between them and how they may be coming out with a date at any second now. And we're going to get into the junior middleweight rankings according to the Ring Magazine and whether we agree with it or not. Then, of course, we're going to get into some open boxing topics. You feel what I'm saying? But before we get into all of that, if y'all could please hit the like button on the way in. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody that's been showing love to the videos, man. I seen that clip that I had put together of Devin Haney's brother, Sean Haney's amateur fight at my gym. I seen that it's doing some pretty good views, man. Last time I checked, it hit about 2,000 views. So thank you very much for everybody that's been tuning in, watching. Let me shout out to everybody that's, that subscribed to the channel as a result of that video. The subscribers definitely jumped up a little bit. I'm highly appreciative of that. Thank you very much. And I wanted to say shout out to Danny Garcia, man. I don't know what's been going on lately. I don't know what's in the air over at Pivot Boxing Academy, but it keeps on attracting big names in the boxing world. Within the last week alone, we've had Bill Haney. We had Bill Haney at our facility, and then just out of nowhere, from what I understand, I don't know if this was planned or what, but Danny Garcia ended up walking into the gym for the first time ever with his father, Angel Garcia. So shout out to, Danny Garcia for coming through, showing love, watching our amateur spar. You know what I mean? Shout out to Angel Garcia for following up with his son and, having some great conversations. Didn't refuse any pictures. You know what I mean? Danny Garcia has always been a class act. Ever since I've met him years ago. I think the first time I met Danny was probably like back in like 2015. Like I've always seen him around, but like meeting him personally and speaking with him probably like 2015. So, in the decade of some change that I've known Danny, he's always been a nice, honorable, person. Very respectful man, just a really, really down to earth dude. One of the nicest people that I've ever met in the sport of boxing. I say that to this day. And Angel Garcia, he's always cool when he's around us as well, man. So shout out to the Garcias for coming through and showing love as well. You know what I'm saying? It was dope. And he took a picture with my son. So anytime, you know what I mean, me and my son could look back at that picture and be like, look, man, like you met a world champion. You know what I mean? It's just dope to see. You know what I mean? I think that's probably the first fighter my son has taken a picture with that's like elite. You feel what I mean? So shout out to my son, man. Shout out to my son, Micah. I love you, baby. He's sleeping in the room right now. You know what I mean? Shout out to Danny Garcia. Shout out to Angel Garcia. You know what I'm saying? We had some good sparring too, man. We had some good sparring. He said Shakur gonna go there next. He's more than welcome to. He's more than welcome to. We definitely got work here for him. That's for sure. You know what I mean? But shout out to everybody that's in the building. My boy Slime, what up? Marissa in the building. She said, how am I? I'm doing well, Marissa. Thank you for asking. You always checking in on me. Thank you. I hope everything is well with you and yours. Shay, what up? Chris Maldonado in the building. What up? What's going on, brother? That's my high school brother right there, man. What up? What up? What up? Junior, what up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Slime said, need a pick with you. Hey, man, whenever you come to Philly, you let me know. I mean, you come kick it with me. But we got some things to discuss, man. Them rumors are starting to look like they coming out as true. You know what I mean? With Errol Spence, man, we was always wondering when Errol Spence was going to come back, give us a fight. Was he going to just permanently retire? You know what I mean? Errol Spence has been moving very discreet since his loss to Terrence Crawford. You know what I mean? Just been off the grid, chilling with his family, going on vacation, just chilling with his his parents and things of that nature, man. And his whole thing is just being content with who he is and where he's at in his life, which is a dope thing. But it seems like Errol Spence is getting that itch, man. And he's been taking his time. He hasn't been rushing this whole process, anything like that. I remember I think like a year ago, to be honest with you, he was down in Philly with Bradman and stuff like that. And I think at the time he was pretty much scouting to see exactly who he felt like he was going to train with. But most recently, we just seen Errol Spence here in Philadelphia with Bradman yet again. So I don't know if this is a situation where Errol Spence has, made his decision as to who's going to be training him. Not really don't know any updates on that. I guess we'll see as the fight gets announced and interviews start being made, getting made and stuff like that. But it's dope to see Errol Spence of Philadelphia, and if he is going to be choosing bread, man, and be training down in West Philly, man, that's amazing, bro. You know what I mean? I've always wanted to meet Errol Spence, man. I heard great things about it from people that have met him before. I heard he's a class act as well. Very cool, laid back dude. Would definitely like to help him with his ring return as well. You know what I'm saying? Bread man, call me, baby. Call me, man. I got somebody that could work with Errol for sure. Got somebody that could work with Errol for sure. And he could emulate Tim Tszyu pretty well. You know what I'm saying? I think yeah, it'll be great work. That's all I know. But yeah, man. Errol Spence has been pretty quiet, and it seemed like he getting that itch. He getting back in the mix, and apparently, according to the rumors that's going on out here, man. Shout out to CBS Sports for putting together this article a few hours ago. The headline of this says Errol Spence Jr. versus Tim Tszyu in the works for June in Australia. Now, that I ain't gonna lie, this was something that definitely caught me off guard. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I don't even know why I was surprised because, for one, Errol Spence he about rumbling. He definitely about that action, and he don't mind going overseas or anywhere on this world to fight anybody. We've seen it with the Kell Brooks situation. You feel what I'm saying? But it looks like Errol Spence versus Tim Tszyu in the works for June in Australia. It looks like Errol Spence is going down under to go get that fade with Tim Tszyu. And I can't pronounce this dude's name, but his name is Shaquille Majori. I'm sorry if I slaughtered your name, brother. My apologies for that. But he said Errol Spence Jr. is reportedly mounting a comeback. Former unified welterweight champion Spence is expected to end his nearly 3-year hiatus, make his 154-pound debut. So this is going to be at 154 pounds, according to the report, against former WBO junior middleweight champion Tim Tszyu. Spence versus Tszyu is expected to take place in Australia in June, according to ESPN, following an initial report by Ring Magazine and subsequently reported by veteran journalist Dan Raphael. The fight is expected to take place on either June 6th or June 13th, which is a day after my son's birthday, so that'd actually be pretty cool. With a venue still to be determined, fight will headline a PBC on Prime Video pay-per-view, according to Raphael and ESPN. So that's the report that's being out here right now, man. Listen, man. I was hearing that Tim Tszyu was going to do a tune-up and things of that nature prior to the fight, and it looks like it's going to be taking place in March. Tim Tszyu is somebody who likes to stay active. You can tell he's somebody who believes that activity, inactivity, I guess you would say, can hinder your performances. So he's looking to stay sharp. You know what I mean? He wants to get a good win, so he could be prepared for the style that's that's going to take place ahead of him. Now, knowing Tim Tszyu and how it's calculated him and his team may move, there's a likelihood that Tim Tszyu will most likely fight somebody that either has a similar style to Errol Spence or maybe a similar stance. So don't be surprised if Tim Tszyu in March, if he is fighting down under, fights another southpaw that happens to be at 154 pounds. Do not be surprised at all. Now, who could that possibly be? We would have to look down the list, but there are a few different southpaws at 154. You know what I mean? I was seeing some tweets online. I forgot exactly who said it, but somebody had brought up the name Cordell Booker. Wouldn't be surprised if that was somebody that was selected out of the bunch. I know Erickson Lubin probably is still healing from that Virgil Ortiz ass whooping, but he's a southpaw that's currently at 154 pounds as well. So who will be chosen for that March bout? I'm not too sure. I highly doubt they even have that, finalized as of right now. There's still a little bit of time left, but if Tim Tszyu is the one that is coming back in March to do a little tune-up, then we'll see. We'll see, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was a southpaw at all. Now, in regard to Errol Spence Jr., we know that, in the past that he said that he's not the biggest fan of tune-ups and he likes to get straight into the smoke. Like, speaking of Danny Garcia, right after that car accident that a lot of people thought would ruin Errol Spence Jr., he came back and fought Danny Garcia. Very, very dangerous fight to come back to after a traumatic experience. And he was able to defeat Danny Garcia and dominate the fight, in my opinion. So, maybe Errol Spence is like, you know what I'm saying? I've been staying in shape. I've been doing what I need to do. I don't necessarily need no tune-ups. Just give me that Tim Tszyu fight. I'll be ready to fight when the time comes. And we've seen that Errol Spence has been looking in phenomenal shape as of lately. Looks like he's in fight shape already, so he's definitely been working behind the scenes. I've seen like little pictures of him looking like he had just finished up some sparring sessions and things of that nature in the past. So he's definitely been active. Roy Jones has had a little bit of a behind the scenes look as to how Errol Spence is looking in training, and he says that Errol Spence still has it. So yeah, man. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna see. We're gonna see exactly how much is left of Errol Spence, man. Me personally, if I'm coming off of a close to 3-year hiatus, like the article said, I would definitely be looking for some type of tune-up. You know what I mean? To stay busy, fight, whatever the case is. But people have different approaches, people have different beliefs, and hopefully this doesn't come around to fuck over Tim Tszyu. You know what I mean? Hopefully this isn't a situation where because I heard they've been trying to set up Tim Tszyu versus Errol Spence for a little while now, but Tim Tszyu kept losing and shit like that. So hopefully this isn't an experience where, Tim Tszyu, who came off of a pretty bad loss against Fundora not too long ago, takes this tune up in March and ends up being the one getting tuned the fuck up. Hopefully that's not a situation because that'll ultimately ruin the fight that's going on between Errol Spence and Tszyu. So, I hope Tim Tszyu comes out victorious against anybody that he's fighting. It being at 154 pounds is interesting, to be honest with you. Coming off of a 2 to 3, close to 3-year layoff for Errol Spence, I'd have liked to have seen him, probably fight at 160 pounds. The fight isn't finalized yet, or made publicly yet in terms of it being officially announced. So maybe that's something that they're openly negotiating as of right now. But if it's at 154 pounds, like all of the reports are saying, I wonder if this is going to hurt Errol Spence or help Errol Spence, man, because this is somebody who fought at 147 until he couldn't no more. And, I've noticed this pattern with fighters where they stay in a division too long. They stay in a division so long, it puts so much stress and damage on their body that when the body gets an inch to, move up in weight, it takes a mile. And that means that, and I've seen this with Devin Haney, you know what I'm saying? Like Devin Haney stood at 35 till he pushed his body to the limit going to 135. You know what I'm saying? That, when he was supposed to go to 140, it wasn't enough of that 5-pound cushion wasn't enough for the body to really, feel good. You feel what I'm saying? And, that's why Devin Haney has spoken on this in the past in terms of, still feeling like it was still a sacrifice to make 40. Like it didn't really make much of a change, but then when he went to 47, he felt a lot better. So hopefully it's not one of those situations for Errol. You know what I'm saying? He gets that 7-pound cushion and his body is still, struggling getting down to that weight and things like that, man. I would have liked to have seen Errol Spence at a more comfortable weight, like 160, considering the layoff. But, maybe he feels like it's okay. He feels okay at 154, considering he's been, walking around at a lower weight. You know what I mean? You could tell he isn't blowing up at all. He looked like, I'm telling you, he looks like he's in fight shape right now. So maybe that's not a concern at all. You see what I mean? So shout out to Errol Spence. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does. Speaking of my boy Shay, I forgot my boy Shay was from Australia. Correct me if I'm wrong, brother, but I think you did tell me that you was from Australia. Shout out to Shay. He said, Australia boxing coming. We have Jai, Paro, both fighting for world titles. Well, Jai Opatai, I heard that he's fighting Brandon Glatton on that Zuffa card. And that's dope, man. Like, to be honest with you, Brandon Glatton is a tough, rugged, strong dude, but Josh should wash him with the quickness. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a good introductory fight into Zuffa for Jai Opatai, man. Josh shouldn't have any trouble. This ain't me underestimating Brandon Glatton whatsoever. He's a tough, formidable opponent for sure. But with the level that Jai is on and what I've seen in his fights, and how dangerous he is, he should knock out Brandon Glatton within the first 4 rounds. That's just me, being a little bit bold with my takes, with my predictions. But I like that fight for Jai. You know what I'm saying? Get him some recognition, get him on a solid card, and hopefully Jai could get these opportunities that, he's been wanting at cruiserweight. I've seen Gilberto Ramirez say that, Jai isn't gonna be the guy of the division until he fights him and stuff like that. So Jai's name is getting mentioned. Hopefully, him being with Zuffa doesn't interfere with these unification fights and stuff like that. We'll see. We'll see for sure. My boy Slime in the building said if Errol look amazing in this 10th fight, they're gonna call for Boots versus Errol, and I'm not gonna watch that. I don't think people are gonna call for that fight, and this is why. I think people are understanding of the idea that Errol Spence is coming back. You know what I'm saying? He's not coming into the biggest fight at 154 or anything like that. So I'm not calling Tim Tszyu a tune-up, but he's definitely not like an elite level fight at this point in his career. Solid fight, but not like the upper echelon fight. Like this ain't a Virgil Ortiz fight. This isn't a Drawn in this fight. This ain't even a Jermell Charlo fight. Just being honest with you. So this is like a grade below an elite level fight. So I think him beating Tim Tszyu, I don't think people are going to be like, oh, I've seen enough. Let's get him in there with Joannas. No, I think people are going to give Errol Spence some leeway and understand that, he's getting into the mix of things. And to be honest with you, we don't know what Errol Spence's moves are going to be after this fight right here. Like if he beats Tim Tszyu, would that be enough in his heart where he feels like, all right, I came back off of a loss, I won, you know what I mean? That's how I want to end off my career. Or is Errol Spence going to be on that type of time where it's like, yo, I feel great, you know what I mean? I took them years off to really rest my body, and I'm ready to give it another run. Then you can start mentioning fights with Errol and Jermell and Errol and Fundora, like they were initially supposed to put together. I don't think people are gonna automatically put him line him up with Jaron Ennis. Jaron Ennis is being lined up with a Virgil fight, and I think people really want to see more of Jaron Ennis fighting the champions of the division, the Josh Kelly, the Xander Zayas, the Sebastian Fundoras. I don't think people are really going to be craving that fight anytime soon, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? My boy Anonymous in the building, he said, yeah, I just seen an interview from Mickey Bay that said Devin really had been struggling to make that weight since he first beat Kambosos, but he really wanted that Loma fight on his resume. Yeah, he definitely sacrificed him. This is when I knew Devin Haney was struggling to make that. I knew the weight cut was serious for Dev when Dev refused to have cameras in the room while he was doing the morning weigh-in with Loma. I thought that was a very telling situation. Like, why wouldn't you want people to look at you while you on that scale? It was because you knew that you looked horrendous on that scale, and you really didn't want the media or anybody like that to know that you were struggling. You don't want to show that vulnerability on the scale. So I knew that was a thing. And then when they started doing like the early morning weigh-ins so they could have more time to rehydrate and stuff like that, that's another like a telltale sign that things aren't going too good in the weight cut department. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, when people usually stick at a weight class longer than what their body wants to, by the time they jump up to the next weight class, it's like it's not enough for the body to fully heal from that situation. Because when you get that, you really punishing and traumatizing your body when you do these really crazy weight cuts. You know what I'm saying? So when you put on that additional weight to let your body know you're no longer cutting to that weight, you know what I mean? Like the body's gonna want to supersede, the 5 pound, the 5 pound difference. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna want to jump up again. Like Rolly Romero, he told you, he said, yo, when I was at 35, I should have been at 40. When I was at 40, I should have been at 47. When you're not listening to your body and you're going against what the body wants to do, you're gonna fuck yourself over, man. You see what I'm saying? Shout out to Shy Rider Westsider. Shout out to my boy Jay Cash in the building. Been a member for a year and 3 months. He said, always rocking with the nation. Best boxing talk on the internet. Like and share the live. Thank you very much, brother. Shout out to my boy Jay Cash showing love from all the way out. He an Ohio boy, but he's showing love out in Arizona, man. Shout out to him. Shout out to the wifey as well. I'll never forget what y'all did for me last year. Bought my son gifts on Amazon registry. That was a really, really dope moment, man. So I fuck with y'all family, man. Shout out to the people. You know what I mean? Shout out to the nation. You feel me? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He stayed so long, he outgrew 40 as well. Yep. That happens. I'm trying to tell you. It happened with Rolly. It happened with Dev. It happened with who the hell I just brought up? It may possibly happen with Errol. You feel what I'm saying? Like these things do happen. You feel what I mean? Shout out to PYP Boxing in the building, man. What up? What up? He said Virgil Ortiz versus Ennis Mazuma TV. Amigo, I know you got the scoop. This for real. I actually don't have the scoop, brother. I haven't really been speaking to anybody close to Jerron Ennis or anything like that. So I'm playing it by the internet just like y'all. But if Mike Coppinger out here posting it, then there might be some validity to it, man. I don't think he would try to damage his credibility in order to get a little bit of clicks, you know what I mean, for some clickbait. I don't think he would do that. I think he has some sources, you know, considering that he works for the Ring magazine. I'm sure he has some people that's close to negotiations that's able to give him the inside scoop. So if they're close to finalizing a deal and, you know, they're close to finalizing a fight in April, then it may very well be true. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to come to terms and, you know, have a fight date locked in, because all it takes is one disagreement for the whole thing to fall apart. You know what I'm saying? Like you can agree. There could be 10 concepts on the board and you may agree to 9 of them, but if you don't agree to that 10th one, the whole shit falls apart. It really be that simple. So I hope that's not that type of situation. Hopefully they, you know, they see eye to eye on everything and they give us the fights that we want to see as boxing fans. You feel what I'm saying? Yeah, J Cash is definitely a pillar of the community. Shout out to the boy J Cash. Bullies, what up, man? What's going on? What's going on? My boy Shay in the building. He said, Mark, how much you think a boxer should cut and when does it get too much? I know it depends on weight classes. Shout out to Smoochie. What up? I feel like everybody's different, brother. There's people who just have like fucking phenomenal genetics where they could put on 30 pounds and effortlessly get the 30 pounds off. But me personally, I wouldn't go if I'm a professional boxer and I'm really living the lifestyle. Uh, I feel like you shouldn't be nowhere past 15 pounds of your fight weight. That's just me. I feel like 20 might be okay. 20 might be okay. If you got an 8-week training camp and you got 20 pounds to lose, that's actually not that bad. You know what I'm saying? It might not be that bad, but you know what I'm saying? 10 to 15 pounds of your fight weight, I feel like that's suitable. I think that's something that, you know what I mean? You know, it's not too much weight and you can actually focus on sharpening up in camp instead of having a fat camp and, you know, just be worried about your weight the whole time. As a fighter, you know, a lot of this shit is mental. So you don't want to be in a situation where you don't have the ability to focus on a game plan or a strategy on your opponent because you got 30 pounds, 35 pounds, 40 pounds to cut within an 8-week to 9-week time frame. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's a lot for a fighter to deal with. You know what I mean? They may have some external things going on in their life that they got to attend to as well. So the less on your mind as a fighter, the better. You see what I mean? That's why a lot of these fighters, once they get to an elite level, they start hiring, you know, like nutritionists, chefs, and stuff like that because they don't want to deal with, you know, trying to put together their own food. You know, a lot of this shit, especially at an elite level, is really saving as much brain power as possible. You know what I mean? Just being being smooth and smarter. So I think 10 to 15 pounds is suitable. I feel like anything past that, you know, you might be able to get away with it, but you know, you don't want to have a bad weight cut in camp, and that be the reason why you come up short, get beat up, knocked out, dominated. You know what I mean? Embarrassed. You don't really want to go through that. So my whole thing is to not blow. You know, the main goal as a fighter should not be to blow up during camps. That's just me. Devin said he was cutting 20 to 30 pounds. I know people that have cut more. I know people that have cut more, Junior. Like, I know for a fact Gervonta Davis. When Gervonta Davis was chilling with AB and was blowing up, he said he had cut 40 pounds. Errol Spence said that he was blowing up to 185, 180. He fought at 47. How much weight is that? That's 33 pounds. If you went from 147 to 180, that's literally 33 pounds. Said he was running with sauna suits on and um saying that he wasn't even eating. Like, as a fighter, you should be eating. If you're the If you're that undisciplined where you had to starve yourself in camp in order to make weight, it's either because you're in a weight class that your body can no longer tolerate from a healthy standpoint, or you just not disciplined enough. You're cutting corners. You feel what I'm saying? So there's that, man. You know what I mean? You definitely need to live a fighter lifestyle. Not managing your weight, you're asking for failure. You setting yourself up for failure if you're not um moving correct. J Day says Benavidez definitely cuts 30 to 40. That's a possibility, but I'll tell you what, David Benavidez being camped for 12 to 15 weeks. So how much time do you really how much time you got to blow up if you're dedicating yourself to a 12 to 15 week camp? And by the way, that's like a 15-week camp is literally like close to 4 months worth of training. That's a third of the year. So if you're fighting twice a year like David Benavidez, right? And you're doing 12-week camps, 24 weeks is literally 6 months. So what time if you're doing 12-week camps, how and if 6 months out of the year you're in training camp, what time do you really have to blow up? Yeah, man. And you see these MMA fighters be cutting weight all crazy, and then they get jabbed on the chin and they go to sleep. Like these weight cuts could fuck with your punch resistance, could fuck with your immune system. This shit it could fuck with your it could create neurological damage. Like if you lose fluid in the brain, then you could develop some type of brain damage and brain hemorrhages. Like you don't want to deal with that, man. Benavidez said he loved to eat. Oh, we know that. He said good maths, bruv. Try to tell you, 24 weeks. You divide 24 by 4, you're gonna get 6. That's 6 months right there of hard work. You ain't got no time to really blow up and wait. And Benavidez missed weight before, but that was literally during like the lockdown and shit. Like, I don't count that shit, bro. I've seen when niggas went through and like they couldn't even leave their hotel rooms. They was in the gym for only an hour and they only had a treadmill. Like, if you miss weight during the pandemic, like during the lockdown, where it was like everybody was isolated, I forgive you, bro. I've been in them bubbles. I've been in them PVC bubbles. That shit was horrific. J Cash said, I'm down like 15 pounds right now, trying to shed another 30. Man, shout out to J Cash taking care of his health, man. That's a beautiful thing. I definitely need to cut I need to cut a good 30. Definitely need to cut a good 30. 30, 35 pounds, I'll be cool. But man, I really I gotta sacrifice something, man. And I'm definitely not sacrificing the gym. I gotta find a situation where I ain't gonna lie, I need to find a new career where like I have more flexibility with my days. Like, shout out to the brothers and sisters who got like work from home jobs. Like, I need to find a work from home job or some type of hybrid job where I have more flexibility. You know what I'm saying? And I also need to get more motivated too. I feel like ever since my son been born, I ain't really been motivated in the gym how I'm supposed to be. Smoochie said she been trying to lose the same 5 pounds for a year. Getting 10 to 15K steps a day definitely helps. I have an Apple Watch. I'm about to start tracking my steps to see how much I do. 'Cause I do move around a lot. I gotta see. I'll see. But anyways, moving on, man. I also wanted to speak about this Fabio Wardley versus Daniel Dubois update because I remember Anonymous had wrote a comment in the chat It was asking me basically what was going, like what my thoughts were on the Wardley and Dubois situation, and I said I thought that was a great fight. You know what I mean? I know Daniel Dubois is coming off of a loss against Alexander Usyk and shit like that. Get your finance. All right, we're gonna talk about that. Let's talk about that off the internet, bro. We're gonna talk about it. I'm gonna hit you up separately. But you know, I know Daniel Dubois coming off of a TKO KO loss, whatever you want to call it, against Alexander Usyk not too long ago. But Daniel Dubois is still game, from what I understand, unless something has dramatically changed in his life, or he that one shot from Usyk really took him out the game. I'm not sure. I guess we'll see. But Daniel Dubois is somebody who is known for creating whole 180s. You know what I mean? Creating 180s in his career. Seeing him quitting fights against Joe Joyce, seeing him, pretty much tap out against Alexander Usyk the first fight. We seen this man turn back around, got thrown in the ring with wolves and come out on top. Whether we talking about, that Philip Herkovich fight, the Gerald Miller fight, you know what I mean, and ultimately knocking out Anthony Joshua. Uh, Daniel Dubois has shown that he could bounce back from, losses. So now he's in there with five. There's a lot of sources saying that Wardley will defend his WBO heavyweight title versus Daniel Dubois May 9th. And a lot of the people are really wondering, how did Fabio Wardley get a WBO title? After he had got that upset victory, in my eyes, it was an upset victory against Joseph Parker. And a fight that I thought that he was down against, he was able to get the stoppage, I think in the 12th round. I think he ended up becoming like the mandatory for the WBO, whatever the case is. I think they mandated Usyk to fight Wardley, and I think Usyk had given up the title just to hand it over to him, just for Wardley to have. And I think he was elevated as champion as a result of that. So since then, they've been, Fabio Wardley been out here. You know what I mean? Well deserved victory against Joseph Parker. He fought his heart out, and now he's a champion. He's in a power position, and Wardley could have. I'm sure he could have chose a few different routes. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Uh, he could have chose more, a voluntary defense just against anybody, whatever the case is. But he going straight into the smoke, so you got to give Wardley some credit for that. So let's go into this article right here. Shout out to James Regan and James Dealhen, I believe. It says Fabio Wardley is set to defend his heavyweight world title against Daniel Dubois May 9th in Manchester. So this is going to be out in the UK versus UK. Smart move. Talks began last week for the all-British heavyweight clash and have moved quickly, sources add, though it has yet to be officially announced. Ring Magazine was the first to report this. They both fight in the Queensberry Promotions. He's coming off of an 11th round knockout win against Joseph Parker. And Daniel Dubois is looking to bounce back from his brutal KO loss to then undisputed heavyweight champion Alexander Usyk in the summer. Usyk later vacated the WBO title, which Wardley now holds. So, listen, man, this fight gets made, that's definitely going to be a banger. I'm definitely going to be tuned in. And this is really going to come down to, who's able to land that first clean shot. You feel what I'm saying? Because, listen, Fabio Wardley, he thumping. That motherfucker could punch. He has some devastating power. And we know that Daniel Dubois isn't really too fond of getting hit clean, with big shots. But Daniel Dubois is also somebody. Oh, before I get into that, but Fabio Wardley has very leaky defense, in my opinion. He does get hit a lot. And I don't know if you want to get hit by somebody as big of a puncher as Daniel Dubois. You know what I mean? Daniel Dubois is also punching. We seen him put people out, one punch. You know what I'm saying? We seen him stop people on their feet. You know what I'm saying? We see Daniel Dubois catch a second win. He's shown determination. It's like he has quit in him, but in certain scenarios, he will showcase some heart. You pretty much got to get that. You pretty much gonna have to beat the courage out of Daniel Dubois for him to quit. You feel what I'm saying? So that's a great fight. You know what I mean? Fabio, I think he's capable of knocking out Dubois. I think Dubois is fully capable of knocking out Wardley. That's the heavyweight division for you. So it's really going to come down to who's going to be able to implement their offense first. Who's going to be the one to catch a rhythm offensively first? I think that right there in itself is going to determine who the winner is. Unless Fabio is able, if he's able to take a clean shot from Dubois and go nowhere, Dubois is gonna be in trouble. Dubois is gonna be in trouble, man. Because when we talking about the heart department, I think Fabio has got more dog in him than Dubois. That's just me. You feel what I mean? But we'll see. We'll see. That's a great fight. You know, UK versus UK out in Manchester. That shit definitely gonna do numbers. I'm definitely gonna be watching that very closely because the winner of that right there is gonna show who it's gonna be a statement for either guy if they win. If Fabio Wardley beats Daniel Dubois, then his win against Joseph Parker wasn't a fluke. And if he has Joseph Parker and Daniel Dubois on his resume back to back, that's a great start to your heavyweight title run, man. And if Daniel Dubois beats Fabio Wardley and becomes a two-time heavyweight champion of the world, all right, this motherfucker is he's amongst the elite, man. If you lose a title, then come back and win a title back to back, come on, man. That's goat shit, right? I mean, not goat shit. Let me stop exaggerating. That's dope shit. My boy Tricks in the building said, "Did you see that interview with Chris Mannix and Mauricio?" Yes, I did. I actually did take the time to watch the interview, man. Shout out to Chris Mannix. I don't know if he's always held motherfuckers accountable like this, or really you know, was like a truth pusher or whatever the case is. And I never really paid him too much mind, to be honest with you. But Chris Mannix was really putting the motherfucking pressure on Mauricio. Mauricio, he's such a slithering fucking snake, bro. To be honest with you, man. He said it's not about the money. It's not about the money, bro. If it's not about the money, you wouldn't be charging those 6 fucking figures to get a motherfucker to continue holding y'all belt. Like, you can't say that it's about the money. That it's about the money. That's like you going to a Gucci store, right? And these motherfuckers get, remember everybody used to buy the Gucci belts and shit. And they got a Gucci belt for $500 that just dropped. And you talking back and forth with the manager of the Gucci store, whatever the case is. And I'm like, damn, bro, like y'all really be charging people this crazy ass money for these Gucci belts? And they like, whether it could be $1, it could be $500. It's not about the money. Man, miss me with the motherfucking bullshit, bro. It's everything about the money. If it wasn't, then you wouldn't be charged. If it truly wasn't about the money, y'all wouldn't have sanctioning fees. Y'all wouldn't have sanctioning fees. You feel what I'm saying? So miss me with the bullshit. Stop acting like you're doing it for the love of the game. You trying to get a check like everybody else that's in this boxing shit. You know more. You know different than the promoter. You know different than the managers, the advisors, the lawyers. Y'all all in it. Y'all have the same objective. Y'all trying to score. Y'all trying to get a bag. It's okay, but it's when you are approaching these things in an arrogant way and burning bridges as a result, that's when it becomes a problem. And it's, bro, me and Chris Mannix really are like on the like we really right here with it, because I literally brought up the same point way before he did this interview with Mauricio Suleiman. I said on one of my shorts, if you go back and watch my short on when I spoke on YouTube, and I was speaking about Shakur Stevenson and Mauricio Suleiman, I said, yo, considering the fact that Turkey Al-Sheikh, Zuffa Boxing, and all of them are trying to get rid of sanctioning bodies, the last thing you should do is burn a bridge with a highly influential fighter in the boxing world. You already did it with Terrence Crawford, who is literally like these up and coming fighters of today. He's like their Mayweather. You see what I'm saying? He's like their Mayweather. These are like Bud is very influential. He has a lot of power amongst the younger generation. Now you got Shakur Stevenson, who is the present. Terrence Crawford, he's the past, right? Because he's retired. Shakur Stevenson is literally the present of today. So the young kids, the 8, 9, 10-year-olds that's coming up right now, they looking up to Shakur. They want to be like Shakur because he's at the top of the boxing mountain, right? So if they're following Shakur closely and they see that Shakur Stevenson don't really like the WBC because the WBC did this, and that to him, that's going to deter the younger generation from wanting to deal with the WBC, because they seen how the way they did Shakur, they probably do them the same way. So Mauricio's crooked, man. We all know this. You know what I'm saying? This man literally sat here and said that he follows strict rules, and then with Jamal Charlo, he bent the rules for him. Then he couldn't remember whether he charged Canelo Alvarez a sanctioning fee when he moved up from 60 to 175 to win a world title against Sergey Kovalev and keep his belt at 160. Like, he's just he's a slithering snake, man. And I'm so glad that Chris Manning's brought up these things. But it's like Mauricio don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? He also brought up the interim titles. It's like, bro, this man Egypt Cabiel has to wait 2 to 3 years to get a motherfucking man. Oh, the David Benavidez shit fried me, dog. He fried me with the answers, bro. He was like, "Oh man, by the time, when we were gonna mandate, Benavidez to fight Canelo, Benavidez already had moved up in weight, bro. You're full of shit. Your whole idea was you wasn't gonna mandate. The two reasons why Mauricio would never admit this, but this is a fact. Two reasons why he didn't mandate that. One, he didn't want to piss off Canelo Alvarez, right? Because Canelo the type motherfucker. He'd be like, you know what, man, fuck this belt. Fuck you, right? Because he understands that at this point in his career, he's bigger than the belt. And the last thing Mauricio wants to do is piss off his fellow Mexican and stop getting that payroll from that Mexican. You feel what I'm saying? So he don't want to fuck up. He don't want to burn that bridge. He don't want to burn no Canelo bridges. But Crawford that beat Canelo and Shakur Stevenson that's cool with Crawford, he'll burn them bridges with them because he doesn't look at them as like big money guys that he's going to be getting these big checks from and things of that nature. So that's one reason he don't want to burn that bridge with Canelo Alvarez, and plus he knows that there's a likelihood Benavidez might beat Canelo, and he doesn't want to get 3% off of David Benavidez. He wants to get 3% off of Canelo Alvarez. That's really what the fuck it is at the end of the day. You feel what I'm saying? So Maurice, I'm glad Chris Manning's pressed him. I thought, at least in my eyes, I felt like Chris could have been a little bit more aggressive with him, but it is what it is. Maybe he was just trying to keep it professional. But Mauricio, he's full of shit. Like, nothing in that interview made me feel like, you know what, Mauricio's right. No, you try to, and then when people started reading through the rules and stuff like that, a lot of these rules that he has are very bendable. You know what I mean? And I see Josh Dubin. I don't know if y'all see that. Go see Andre Ward and Roy Jones's interview. What's that, like the Hall of Game? Go check out the interview that they did with Josh Dubin. Josh Dubin is the lawyer to Shakur Stevenson. He was a manager for Lennox Lewis back in the day. He was also Andre Ward's lawyer and shit like that. Go listen to what Josh Dubin had to say about that situation. Because he keeps it real. He tells you exactly what it is. And Andre Ward made some great points while having that dialogue with Josh Dubin and says that, like, you can't be charging these crazy sanctioning fees. And when guys don't want to pay them, you weaponize the Mauricio, the Suleiman fund, that takes care of, retired fighters and shit like that. Like, nah, bro, you're not about to be guilt tripping motherfuckers into paying sanctioning fees by saying how y'all support, retired fighters and shit like that. And I thought Josh Dubin brought up a great point. Show us accounting. Show us where, like, and we're not doubting that money's being sent to these, older retired fighters. A lot of people have confirmed this in, interviews. I've seen Buddy McGirt confirm it. I've seen Roy Jones confirm it. I've seen it. But show me, because this is my money y'all taking. Show me how much of my money is being sent to former fighter A, former fighter B, former fighter C. Where is my money going? And I feel like as fighters, we should have that level of transparency. But of course, Mauricio ain't going to do that. You know what I'm saying? This man said that he kept Jamal Charlo champion. He kept Jamal Charlo champion for 2 to 3 years because he said that Jamal Charlo, the only thing that was stopping him from unaliving himself was being WBC champion. Do y'all believe that? Do y'all believe that? I would have to check in with Jamal. I'm not saying it's 100% cap, but if you're going through some real life shit, a green belt not going to stop me from, like, that belt not that serious, bro. That belt's not that fucking serious. It's not. That green belt don't stop none of the bullshit and fuckery that be going on in life. Like this motherfucker really, this motherfucker Mauricio really think that WBC title is like the closest thing to heaven. Like, what the fuck is wrong with him? Like, bro, if that's false, if that is false, and Jamal Charlo confirms that Mauricio is really the biggest piece of shit, he got to be one of the biggest pieces of shit in boxing because you try to justify bending your rules to a motherfucker talking about they unalive, they was close to unaliving themselves the whole time he wasn't. That would be extremely shitty behavior. I ain't gonna lie to you. That'll just make you a shitty person. So I hope you ain't lying about that. I hope you ain't lying about that, bro. Trick said, I don't think that's right that he said that on video. He shouldn't have, because that ain't nobody fucking business. But when you on the defense and you emotional like Mauricio Suleiman, you're gonna say things without thinking properly. Should I be talking about this dude's mental health issues publicly like this on this platform when Jamal hasn't done it himself? That's whole shit. That's whole shit. You don't speak on people's trials and tribulations, especially you talking about self-harm. Like, that's a very, very serious thing. And if that person hasn't spoke about it publicly, you don't have the fucking, you should not take it upon yourself to go out and speak about that. You know what I'm saying? So not only is this motherfucker delaying interim champions, and he talking about everybody's happy with the interim belt. Who the fuck told you that? Who the fuck told you that people's happy to be interim champions in the WBC? He's trying to make it seem like being an interim champion is just as good as being a champion. No, you fucking dummy. A lot of people get interim titles because that's what that in their mind, they feel like that's the closest thing to getting the world title. Nobody cares about getting a fucking interim belt, bro. Don't nobody be running around talking about, man, look, man, I'm a world champion, man. I'm a world interim champion. Bro, niggas don't even say world when they talk about WBC interim champion. That's like a nigga flexing being an assistant manager. Niggas only getting that assistant manager position and hopes that they become the manager, after, a year or so, whatever the case is. I would not flex being a motherfucking interim or an assistant branch manager, an assistant manager at this store or this company or this corporation. There ain't nothing to brag about. That just means you underneath another man, cuz. Or you underneath, you know what I mean? You got a boss that tell you what the fuck to do. You assist the branch manager. The interim champion is just the little man to the world champion. He was like, who this motherfucker gonna tell? Then he gonna tell motherfuckers. He told the bull, he told Chris Mannix, he was like, who are you to tell? Who are you to say what time I order this? I don't tell you how to do your job, motherfucker. Fighters are complaining about it. So you about to tell these motherfucking fighters to stop complaining? Because Chris Mannix be like, yo, I spoke to this person. I spoke to that person. I love that Chris Mannix brought up, bro. It's like he watched Mazuma TV. I think Chris Mannix be watching I think he be watching Mazuma TV, bro. I think I was one of the very first people on this YouTube shit. I was one of the very first people on this YouTube shit that when they announced Conor Benn was going to be the #1 contender or the mandatory challenger for the Barrios and Ryan winner, I automatically criticized that. And I brought up the same point that Chris Mannix brought up. And that was, how the fuck is he the #1 contender for the WBC world title at welterweight when he hasn't fought at that weight since he popped positive? This man fought 2 times. I think he fought like 2-3 times at 54. Then he fought 2 times at 160 with Chris Eubank. Now he's coming down. And all of a sudden, he's ahead of all of these other guys who have been at 147 religiously and just been dying to get an opportunity. Conor Benn cuts the line. You know what this motherfucker Mauricio says? Oh, we can't deny that, Conor Benn, doesn't have skills. No, bro, that shit that you talking about, we don't give a fuck about that. All these niggas skilled. That's why they rank contenders. So because the niggas skilled, he deserves to be number one after Jack Catterall and all these other motherfuckers. Fuck no. Fuck no. And then Chris Manning's brought up another point that I brought up as well. That's what I'm saying. We here with it. Ryan Garcia ranked in the WBC at 147 when he's fought one time at 47 and fucking lost. You lost your last fight, and you get this nigga a WBC title shot. You disrespectful to the sport of boxing, and you disrespectful to the motherfuckers who are fighting to become somebody within your organization. With that interview with Chris Mannings, you disrespected everybody that was on that ranking system. And to be real with you, you setting yourself up for your own demise in the sport, brother. That greed, that corruption, that saying that you move off of merit and shit like that, bro, you're going to make everybody despise the WBC, and you're going to make everybody want to go the other way. Because fighters going to have it in their head, damn, once I start making big money, WBC going to try to charge me up. I ain't dealing with that shit. You're gonna switch everybody's mind frame in the sport of boxing, because that's the thing with Mauricio. He think the WBC always gonna be relevant, and no matter what he does, people gonna kiss the WBC ass. You got it fucked up, bro. The more bridges you burn with these fighters, the little bit more mustard you get on that jacket, motherfuckers gonna start looking the other way, man. I'm telling you, you setting yourself up for your own demise in the sport of boxing. You're gonna start having people question the validity of the WBC. They're gonna be looking at y'all as corrupt. They're gonna treat you how the way they treated Don King, bro. I'm telling you. And they're gonna be like, yo, why the fuck would I fight for the WBC when I could fight for this Ring Magazine belt and they don't charge me? Bingo. Or if they not like too hell bent on a Ring Magazine, I'll just get the other titles. They'll find a way to exclude y'all, regardless of your history. Regardless of whether you had Muhammad Ali as a champion and all these other great fighters that had the WBC, Floyd Mayweather, all that shit not going to change nothing, brother. Don King had a history of being one of the great, if not the greatest promoter of all time. You see how he had trouble locking in the fighter nowadays. That man done had every all-time, he has so many all-time great boxers. Look what Don King doing now. Just because you have a history in the sport and been attached to all-time great fighters throughout your career don't mean that motherfuckers won't leave you behind. You got it fucked up. Master G in the building. He said, man, keep grinding. This is what a boxing channel was supposed to be. I don't want to see an Errol come back. Damn, Master G don't want to see an Errol come back. I ain't gonna lie, like if he would have retired, I really wouldn't have been mad at it. But at the same time, I am a bit curious to see where Errol Spence got left. I've seen a couple, I've seen a little bit of training footage since his loss to Crawford. And I ain't gonna lie, I've seen some red flags and how the way his balance was. And, in comparison to what I've seen previously, it looked like he was a bit off. But, maybe he's caught a rhythm. Maybe he gave himself enough time to rest, and he's trying to get back in the mix. And I'm not saying that Errol Spence will be the same. I don't think he will, to be honest with you. I think when you take that much punishment, you do change, psychologically, physically, things of that nature. Especially when you're wealthy like Errol Spence. I don't think. I think a lot of the things change within you internally. So I am curious to see what he got left. How can he do against Tim Tszyu, who's not at the best stage of his career neither? I think it's a pretty even fight. But with Tim Tszyu getting this tune-up in March, it may favor Tim Tszyu a little bit more. Now, if we talking about prime Errol going up against Tim Tszyu, I got Errol all day. But this ain't prime Errol. This is a more damaged version of Errol Spence. You know what I'm saying? And Tim Tszyu damaged too. So we're gonna see. Yeah, Tricks. Mauricio really said Conor Benn has skills, so he should be next in line to fight for the WBC belt. Then he started throwing his own people under the bus. That's how you know Mauricio really he's a fucking rat bastard, because he was like, I'm the president of the WBC, but I'm not the only one that does things for the WBC. We have like a chain of voters that decide who's on the rankings and who's not. Mauricio, you ain't never bring that shit up until they put that fire to your ass. So respectfully, don't even bring that shit up. Don't bring up your representatives. You know what I'm saying? Because whenever the WBC does some real nigga shit, you don't never be bringing up your representatives. You take all of the credit, right? So if you take all the credit for the good shit, nigga, you better take all the credit for the bad shit too. Fuck out of here. 16 people from all around the world. Like, ain't nobody trying to hear that shit, nigga. You don't bring up them 16 people from all around the world when y'all receiving praise. Don't be fucking bringing up them 16 people when it's time to, face some criticism. I don't be seeing them 16. I don't be seeing them 16 people from all around the world holding them motherfucking belts up in the ring while you looking to take 6 figures out these fighters' pockets. You know what I mean? Respectfully, nobody trying to hear that shit. Miguel said we all got our opinion. Only EJ know himself. Big fish back, no tune-ups. I mean, yeah, only EJ know himself, but I've been in the boxing game for a while. Man, I've seen this movie over and over. He said, so beating a drained 160 pounder gets you a high spot within the WBC. Right. And he was 1-1. He was 1-1 at 160, and Mauricio was like, I've seen enough. Motherfucker, just keep it real. Stop acting like you. Mauricio need to stop acting like he just like this fair, you know what I mean, by the book ass nigga. You not. It's a business, right? You see that there's an opportunity to make a lot of money. You went after that idea. It's okay. The problem is when you start acting like you this, this fair, reasonable person. No, motherfucker, you are corrupt. You are corrupt. How the fuck you gonna sit there and tell niggas that ain't about the money? How the fuck you gonna knock on niggas' doors and be like, yo, I know we ain't put this belt on the line, but we still need our money, man. We need 120,000. And then when they say no and they vacate the title as a result, you can't be running around talking about it ain't about money. Who the fuck are you to say that? If you got a phone at T-Mobile and they trying to charge you extra $100 on your phone plan, and they not giving you, and they ain't giving you a reason why, so you go ahead and disconnect that line. T-Mobile can't be out here talking about, man, it ain't about the money, man. It's just the rules, man. Nigga, it is about the money. That's why they cut you off, you dumb motherfucker. Fuck is you talking about, man? See, Mauricio can't talk that shit with me, bro. I swear to God. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna try to find a way to get a fucking interview with Mauricio. That shit gonna be a little bit different over here. I promise you that. I show that motherfucker Chris Mannix how to do this shit. I'll show Chris Mannix how to do that shit. And you know the WBC the problem because these sanctioning bodies not having no trouble getting sanctioning fees. You know what I'm saying? Like the WBO, the WBA, the IBF. You don't never hear niggas vacating titles because they charging crazy bread. They're like, yo, obviously a sanctioning fee has to be paid. We usually charge this. And I'm sure they're able to negotiate and come to an agreement. That's why, like, that shit don't ever come out publicly. These niggas know. These niggas know that these boxers gotta feed their family. They gotta, you know what I mean? There's things that they gotta take care of, and they not, obviously they looking to get paid. But they're not about to be overcharging motherfucker. That just goes to show how arrogant Mauricio is. It goes to show how like he thinks he's just above everybody. He got this superiority complex. This nigga thinks he's the main character. As soon as I heard this nigga say that his WBC title is the reason why Jamal Charlo didn't unalive himself, I said, oh, this nigga really thinks he like him and his council, the World Boxing Council, is of just such high importance that this shit is bigger than like boxing. No, nigga, no, y'all not. He think, yeah, Bree, you just beat me to it. He thinks that him and the WBC are bigger than the program. Nigga, you're not. And WBC going to continue to get humbled. They're going to continue to get humbled. But at this point, I'm starting to see a pattern where it's specifically black fighters that he's targeting. And I'm starting to get a little bit suspicious of that. Back to back, Terrence Crawford, Shakur Stevenson. Right? I ain't hear that nigga. Go ask that nigga Canelo for 500 grand. I bet you won't. I bet you won't. Go ask that after Canelo Alvarez fight for this world title, because most likely he gonna fight for a world title in September. That's what they saying. He said he don't want no tune-ups and he want a title fight. Let it be a WBC title. Go ahead. Go ahead and ask that nigga. Go knock on Canelo door and ask for $500,000 and see what he tell you. That nigga gonna tell you, eat a dick right to your face. You can have that fucking belt. He not gonna try no Canelo with that. He's targeting specific individuals. And Josh Dubin said that when the WBC had reached out to him, they had mentioned Shakur's relationship with Terrence Crawford. What the fuck that got to do with him being champion in your organization? So it's like he was blatantly targeting Shakur Stevenson because he had a relationship with Bud, and Bud said, fuck the WBC a little bit ago. Trying to tell you that greed, that not knowing how to play your part, that shit's going to fuck Mauricio over, man. I'm telling you, this is a whole new generation. You know, there's going to be a fighter that's going to be so influential. Like B-Hop was influential enough to put that stain on Don King's jacket to make people not want to do business with him anymore. It's going to take that one influential fighter and be like, yo, we ain't rocking with the WBC no more. And that's when niggas start getting cooked. Trying to tell you, all it takes is one to fuck a whole situation up. Yeah, Master G, I agree with you. Dubois says, I hope I'm saying your name right, brother. He says WBC going to fall off completely at some point. Can't wait for that day. Type of greed they be talking about in the Bible. Facts. That's a fact. Niggas get a little bit of money, get a little bit of power. And they don't know when enough is enough. He said IBF and Ring Belt look better anyway. I ain't gonna lie. I like how the old Ring Magazine belt look. I don't really like this new one. Yeah, Tricks, I brought that up. He said, wait, did you see how Mauricio paused when Chris asked if Canelo paid his fee to be able to fight in different weight classes for a different belt? Bro, go watch. Bro, I'm trying to tell you, it's like that nigga Chris Mannix either on the same type of time mentally as me, or he may have watched my video. I'm trying to tell y'all something good. Because I wrote, where the fuck is this short at? I'm pulling it up. I'm pulling it up. My phone about to die though. So let me see. I brought up this shit. Let me see.
Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is Mark Keish. Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is Marcus Rosa, a.k.a. Mazuma TV. Back at y'all with some more boxing talk, man. I hope everybody's having a blessed, beautiful, positive, productive night. I hope we had a great day overall, man. I figured I'd tap in with y'all with my second video of the day. Wanted to discuss what's going on between the WBC and Shakur Stevenson right now. It seems like it's getting a little bit messy. And we're going to keep it real over here on Mazuma TV, man. We hold people accountable when we call the people out when they, we call them out for their bullshit. You see what I'm saying? And since we being real, I'm going to just ask this question. If Shakur Stevenson paid $100K that the WBC was asking for a sanctioning fee, do you honestly think they would have still stripped him, or would those rules suddenly disappear? Right? Good question. So this whole situation with the WBC and Shakur Stevenson is really a he said, she said type of situation, because the WBC claims that they stripped him due to a rule about not holding titles in 2 weight classes at the same time. Wow, Shakur.
My phone died. Fuck. Hold on. No, we ain't about that. My phone died. Hold on.
Beautiful, positive, productive night. I hope you had a great day overall, man. I figured I'd tap in with y'all with my second video of the day. Wanted to discuss what's going on between the WBC and Shakur Stevenson right now. It seems like it's getting a little bit messy, and we're going to keep it real over here on Mazuma TV, man. We hold people accountable. We call the people out when they, we call them out for their bullshit. You see what I'm saying? And since we being real, I'm going to just ask this question. If Shakur Stevenson paid the $100K that the WBC was asking for a sanctioning fee, do you honestly think they would have still stripped him, or would those rules suddenly disappear? Right? Good question. So this whole situation with the WBC and Shakur Stevenson is really a he said, she said type of situation, because the WBC claims that they stripped him due to a rule about not holding titles in 2 weight classes at the same time. While Shakur Stevenson took it upon himself to go on social media and let it be known that they wanted a $100K sanctioning fee tied to the Teofimo Lopez fight, even though it was in a different weight class and the WBC belt wasn't even on the line, and Shakur refused to pay it. And personally, between the two stances, I believe Shakur Stevenson over the WBC, especially when we've seen them do something similar before, stripping a close friend of Shakur Stevenson, Terrence Crawford, after he refused to pay what he thought was a crazy sanctioning fee.
And this is why I'm feeling like Shakur Stevenson is being targeted, because I said this way before that Josh Dubin interview came out. That Josh Dubin interview, I think, dropped today or yesterday, whatever the case is. Y'all can go check it out on Andre Ward's channel. I think it's on All the Smoke, Hall of Game, the segment that Andre Ward and Roy Jones have. And I was saying, a similar situation just happened with a close friend of Shakur Stevenson's, Terrence Bud Crawford, right? Josh Dubin says in that interview with Andre Ward that for, even though it was completely irrelevant, Mauricio had brought up Terrence Crawford's name and him having a friendship with Shakur Stevenson as one of the reasons why, they had followed through with charging that sanction fee or whatever the case is. You're blatantly targeting that man just because he has a relationship with somebody that you have a problem with. You feel what I'm saying? So that's a huge fucking issue. So that what I said right there aged very well.
As well, coming off of the Canelo Alvarez win. Speaking of Canelo, in 2019, he was allowed to move up, being a WBC middleweight champion, and beat Sergey Kovalev for the WBO light heavyweight title without being stripped immediately, which clearly shows the WBC picks and chooses who they enforce their rules on, man.
Jesus Christ. See, I would have asked Chris, man, if I would have asked Mauricio that shit off rip. I'm like, all right, so back in 2019, when Canelo Alvarez was the WBC middleweight champ, and he moved up 2 divisions to fight Sergey Kovalev and beat Sergey Kovalev for the WBO title. This is a very similar situation. Shakur moved up in weight, had the WBC, fought for the WBO. Canelo Alvarez in 2019 had the WBC, went up and fought for the WBO. Did y'all call Canelo Alvarez and have him pay a hefty sanctioning fee as a result of him moving up in weight? Did you charge him a sanctioning fee for that? Mauricio was all like he drew a blank. He was like, I think so. Fuck you mean you think so, nigga? You seem to have photographic memory. If you listen to his interview, he seemed to have photographic memory with just about everything. You bring up that shit. Get the fuck out of here, bro. You are corrupt, bro. You push them rules and you bend them rules in accordance to whoever the fuck it is, bro. Stop it, man. I'm almost willing to bet Canelo Alvarez ain't paid shit. He went right back down. Y'all was hoping that Canelo Alvarez would go back down, because this the thing, right? because they brought up in the interview that Chris Mannix had brought up in the interview, which was great journalism from him, that the WBC came out and said that hopefully, you know, since he won that title at light heavyweight, that he could go back down to 160 and defend his title. Right? Why would you say that? If y'all charge him a sanctioning fee, why would y'all care about him going back down to defend the title? Y'all niggas already made money. Like, if y'all already charge this nigga a six-figure payday, if y'all charge this nigga six figures and he cashed y'all out, why would y'all be so, you know, why would y'all be in a rush for him to go ahead and defend that title at 160? Because y'all clearly don't give a fuck about the niggas who was in y'all rankings. Y'all just got paid. What y'all tripping for? It's because Canelo ain't pay y'all shit and y'all don't want to be sitting around, you know what I mean, just hoping that Canelo Alvarez go back down and give y'all that money. Y'all ain't trying to wait around for y'all money. Y'all want y'all money ASAP. Stop it, man. Miss me with the bullshit.
Certain fighters get privileges while others don't. And if paying that fee could have changed the outcome, then it proves their rulings can be stepped over for the right price, which, in my opinion, is literally the definition of corruption. And it's exactly why the WBC have been heavily criticized for years, because once the biggest names in the sport stop attaching value to these belts, the influence and authority of those belts will start to fade. And stripping influential fighters like Shakur Stevenson and Terrence Crawford could push future champions that's going to be coming up in the ranks very soon away from the WBC entirely and towards titles like the Ring Magazine, where fighters know the belt is earned in the ring, not bought behind the scenes. The WBC is doing everything they can to try to stop Turki Al-Sheikh from taking over the sport with Zuffa boxing and stuff like that. But with their greedy tactics, it seems like all they're doing is making those guys more powerful. That's
goddamn, Mark. Pretty sure Chris Mannix just said that. He just said that same shit in his own words. He was like, look, man, Zuffa trying to destroy you. Like, I'm sure y'all know that. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's a fact, whatever the case is. Do you think by you moving this way against, you know, these type of high-level boxers that, you know what I mean, you pretty much playing into their hands? Like, that's a fucking great question. If you pimping on hoes and they see that pimp across the street taking care of his women better, you know what I mean, paying them more and all that shit, and you still treat, and that don't make you want to up your game and treat your women well so they won't go somewhere else, I don't know what will. The dumbest shit to do is to still treat your hoes horribly, because you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna know that they're gonna find out the grass greener over there, and that's where the fuck they gonna go. Doing himself a huge that greed, he doing himself a huge disservice right now. You over here trying to press motherfuckers for sanctioning fees and make an example out of them. Whole time they in the power position. They can make an example out of you, because as long as they not paying you, y'all niggas ain't gonna be relevant. The fighters have all the power in that situation. All they got to say is no. You can't force them to pay you, and they don't need your belt to be vindicated as a world champion. You know what I mean? So there's that. So I wanted to wrap up this live by just speaking on the junior middleweight rankings, y'all. And I know this is all subjective, this is opinionated, and of course, you know, lists may look different depending on who's creating the list. You know what I mean? Like if it's Ring Magazine, most likely they're going to cater more to people who have Ring Magazine belts, or, you know, people who are, you know, that do business with the ring, fighters that do business with the ring and shit like that. You know, I just wanted to go over this right here, man, because I just thought this shit was so funny. So this is Ring Magazine's junior middleweight rankings, pretty much showing that Josh Kelly has climbed the list since beating Bakr Murtazaliev, who has now fallen to 7. And Xander Zayas climbing up to number 3 after defeating Abbas Barao, who has went down to number 9. Now, y'all see the comments. You see what's going on. The first thing that boggles my motherfucking mind is the fact that Virgil Ortiz is number 1 on this list. And this ain't to say that Virgil Ortiz is trash, that he's not elite. We're not saying any of that. I think if anybody were to say that, they just an outright hater. And they just don't know boxing. You feel what I'm saying? Virgil is a tremendous fighter. He's a great talent. And he may very well become the man of the division if he plays his cards right. Like that, he might beat, if he fights Boots and he beats Boots, the division is for the taking. For real. If Virgil's able to accomplish that, and he's got some great wins over Madrimov and Serhii Bohachuk, who's not on the list. But Virgil being number 1 is absolutely insane to me. Because let's take a look. Virgil Ortiz is a WBC interim champion. Sebastian Fundora is a WBC super welterweight champion. So he's actually Virgil superior in terms of, the WBC. Right? But the interim champion is number 1. Then you got Xander Zayas, the one who was avoided by Sebastian Fundora and gave up his WBO title as a result. He's the only one that have multiple belts in the weight class. So you're literally putting Sebastian Fundora over Xander Zayas when Fundora gave up a title not to fight Xander Zayas. So now Xander, and he unified with his 2 fights. So unification clearly doesn't matter to the ring. Being a world champion doesn't matter to the ring, apparently. Because they literally have an interim champion reigning number 1 in the weight class. Josh Kelly being below Boots is kind of crazy to me. You know what I'm saying? This ain't no disrespect to Boots. I think Boots is better than everybody on this list. If this was a skill set list, I would put Boots right at the top. I don't think anybody at 54 is better than Boots. I think he beats all of them. I think he beats all of them. That's just me. But Boots only having 1 fight at 154, while Josh Kelly is the IBF super welterweight champion of the division, that's fuckery to me. That's absolute fuckery to me. The fact that Madrimov is over Josh Kelly is crazy to me. So, y'all let me know if I'm tripping. Let's redo this list. Number 1, Xander Zayas. He's the only one that's unified in the super welterweight division right now. We can't sit here and act like belts don't matter because, Turki Al-Sheikh, who owns the Ring magazine and all of that, is doing whatever he can to try to eliminate the belts and just isolate things over between Zuffa and the Ring. No. Over here, the belts fucking matter. You know what I mean? Even the fucking corrupt one that's trying to charge motherfuckers 6 figures. As long as they're relevant, we're going to sit here as boxing fans and give niggas kudos for being world champs. You feel what I'm saying? Xander Zayas should be number 1. He's the only unified champion at the division, and he should be treated as the champion that he is. Not only that, he's actually beat a lot of these guys coming off of the big, the 2 fights that he's got world titles in. He beat both of them guys coming off of the biggest wins of their career. When he beat Jorge Garcia Perez, he came off of an upset victory against Charles Conwell, who was looked at as one of the boogeymen of 154 pounds, caught a body, all types of shit. Xander outboxed him, outclassed him. Abbas Barao, we had my homie Mick Doonan in the building who thought Abbas was going to stop Xander in Puerto Rico. He came off of an upset victory against Yoenis Tellez, who's a WBA regular champion. Xander outclassed him, beat him clearly, in my opinion. So he's coming off of 2 great victories back-to-back, in my opinion. Were these guys elite level, top god tier fight? No, but he literally unified the division in back-to-back fights. We can't take away credit from that. I will put Xander number 1. He's the man of the division right now. After that, you could put Sebastian Fundora. Sebastian Fundora, former unified champion, beat Tim Tszyu twice, beat Erickson Lubin. You know what I mean? He got some solid wins, and he beat Erickson Lubin before Virgil did. Then we could put Josh Kelly at number 3. Josh Kelly, number 3. He just beat Bakram Murtazaliev. Virgil didn't want to fight Bakram. He was bitching about a rehydration clause. Why not put the champions at the top of the list than all of the the top contenders underneath them? That's my whole thing. That's just me though. I would put Virgil Ortiz number 4. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's still a great ranking. Until you get that opportunity to fight for a world title and become world champion, you do not deserve to be top 3. Shit. And if there ain't no unified champion in the division, you don't deserve to be top 4. We giving niggas number 1 spots for being interim champions? That's what we doing? Based off of that, why the fuck Boots ain't number 2? Because he the WBA interim. Boots accomplished at 1 fight what Virgil has accomplished in the fucking 4 or 5 fights that he's been in the division. They accomplished the same shit. They both interim champions. But because he beat Madrimov coming off of a Bud loss and Serhii Bohachuk, he's just fucking God tier at 54 now. Cut it the fuck out, bro. Cut it out. Nigga came in the 54 fighting Frederick Lawson and fucking Thomas Delorme. And, you know, that shit, I've seen enough. Hey, man, stop it, bro. Cut it the fuck out. Trick said, let's say there was no sanctioning body belts and Ring Magazine belt is vacant. Would this list be somewhat accurate? That's what Ring was thinking when they made this list. I highly doubt Ring Magazine was thinking. See, we playing with hypotheticals. I'm dealing with reality. You feel what I'm saying? Like I'm dealing with what's present. You know what I'm saying? If. Like I don't really like to deal with ifs all like that. And that's not me trying to dance around the question. But it's like, come on, man. Raul said, then if he beats Josh Kelly, that's another champion. Let me see. Then if he beats Kelly, that's another fight in a guy who upset a champion in Bakram. Facts. We're not gonna give Xander credit for that yet. We gotta see the fight get made, but you know what I'm saying? Like Xander should be number 1. He's a unified champion of the world. We're not gonna act like the only belt that exists in boxing is the Ring Magazine. That's just not what it is. Niggas, I ain't gonna lie. Niggas wasn't even flexing that Ring Magazine belt all like that until Turkey. Turkey been pushing that shit heavy since, you know, he bought it off of De La Hoya. Before that, it was like, you know what I mean? Like the Ring Magazine belt was cool, but nobody was putting that shit ahead of all the other belts and was like, oh, this is like the ultimate. Like niggas was not pushing the Ring Magazine belt that heavy. Not to my recollection. Yeah, I was saying that too, y'all serious. I said Madrimov over Josh Kelly is disrespectful as fuck. Hella disrespectful. And Madrimov looked like shit his last fight. Came off back-to-back losses. He number 4 over Josh Kelly. And I don't even think Josh Kelly lost that 54 yet while being a champion. Like, fuck out of here. Madrimov would probably be number 8 fucking with me. I would put Boots over him. I would put Josh Kelly over him. Like, come on, bro. And I'd probably keep Bakram over him. Because it wasn't like Bakram got smoked. That was a competitive fight that him and Josh Kelly had. You feel like the ring was always the most important belt? Shit. I don't think so. I like growing up, like niggas wasn't really. That's what I'm trying to say. Like when I was coming up, niggas wasn't like the Ring Magazine belt was present. Fighters did have them. Fighters did pose with them, so they definitely had some relevance. But it wasn't being like pushed ahead of all of the major titles. Like growing up, you needed 4 titles. You needed the 4 titles, and Ring Magazine wasn't one of them. Like you don't need the Ring Magazine to be undisputed champion. That goes to show you the belts that are, you know, the top of the top. You feel me? The Ring Magazine definitely has its history. They definitely been, you know, held by some of the most important fighters that the boxing world has ever seen. There's no doubt about that. But I never heard you needing the Ring Magazine in order to be the undisputed champion of the world. A Singh said, Mazuma, why do I feel like Boo's gonna cook Virgil? Not even gonna be close. I think it's Virgil's definitely gonna present some fits. Like Virgil could fight, man. But I do think that approach that he usually takes, Boots is gonna pick that apart, man. I think that come forward high guard, style. I think Boots is gonna pick that apart. If Boots is first, he uses his jab, and doesn't really make it an inside fight because Boots likes to mix it up on the inside too. I don't really want to see Boots do that too much. Probably like in the later rounds when Virgil's all broken down, maybe he could step to him. But like I don't really want to see Boots on no ropes. I don't want to see none of that shit. I want to see Boots keep him in the center of the ring. I think if they fight in the center of the ring, Boots picks him off all day. I think Boots' speed, his power, his accuracy, I think he'll break Virgil Ortiz up. Not only that, Boots is really good at punching around and through the high guard. So I think he'll do really well. Trick said, I think Ortiz has the best chance to beat Boots compared to the rest of the top 10, in my opinion. I agree. I think that and that's why I said if Virgil beats Boots, I feel like the rest of the division fool for real. And I feel the same about Boots. If Boots steps on Virgil, niggas at 54 in trouble, man. And I know that Xander's confident and he feeling himself right now, but respectfully, he ain't fucking with Boots, bro. He not. They're punching and moving shit, nah. Singh said, Mazuma, when did you know Boots was different? When I was in the gym with him back in like I always knew Boots was like him. Like he was that guy coming up in the amateurs and shit like that. So we always knew about Boots. But back in 2017, was it 2017? Let me get my dates right. Let me get my facts right. I always say 2017. I think it was a little after that. It might have been 2019. Me and my team, I'll tell you right now, 2018. So my fault. Back in 2018, we were helping Boots get ready for his first fight on TV on Showbox against Armando Alvarez. Armando Alvarez was an undefeated fighter, just like Boots. Boots at the time was probably like 20-0. Armando Alvarez was like 18-0. Right? Tall. Rain. I haven't heard from Armando Alvarez since, to be honest with you. To keep it real. Like I don't even know what's going on with Armando. He might have retired. I think he retired, a little bit after losing the Boots. But they were looking for taller fighters. So we had somebody by the name of Rashid Johnson. Shout out to Sugar Sheed. And we sparred Boots out and Boots' old gym down by Kensington. He was training down like Venango. Like, what was that? Kensington and Venango, like around there. Down there. Where Harold Gate Gym is at. Harold Gate Gym was on the first floor, Bosey's was on the second, right? So we would spar there. We would spar Boots over there, and Boots, he was different, man. I seen this man do everything in the ring. It looked literally looked like the perfect fighter. Like, I'm telling you, you couldn't hit the man. He was fast. He had power, like everything, elusive. You couldn't touch the motherfucker, bro. He, had a good jab, had a good right hand, had a good left hook, had good uppercuts, the body shots. And he was just versatile. You see what I'm saying? They were like, yo, Boots, just throw the jab. He outclassed you with the jab. And I seen the work ethic too, man. Like, he was just, his weight was on point. Like, he literally, like, for a trainer, he's literally like a coach's dream. You know what I'm saying? So, and then I'll never forget, he sparred one of our old fighters by the name of Brandon Robinson. He was a 168 dude. He only had like 2-3 amateur fights, and we had him ranked top 15 in the country, and super middleweight at the time. Boots sparred him, and bro, they did 8 rounds, and there was 4 minutes, so it was 32 minutes. So 32 minutes is close to 11 rounds worth of boxing. And this dude Boots was firing in the first round like he was in the 8th round. And the way that he broke B-Rob down, Brandon Robinson down, like, he didn't stop him, he didn't knock him out, nothing like that. But he gave him a good whooping. Boots whooped on B-Rob. And I'll never forget this shit. Boots talking shit the whole time too. I don't know why. We was real respectful to him. I don't know if he just wasn't too fond of B-Rob. I don't know what it was, because he didn't talk shit to Sheed. But he was talking shit the whole time. And there was a point where B-Rob had Boots against the ropes. And I swear to God, I lied to you not. Like, we're giving B-Rob instructions as he's sparring. And Boots, trust me, yo, B-Rob is directly in front of him. His corner's to the left. Boots is literally looking at the corner, telling the coach, telling my staff, my father and my dad's old partner at the time, he can't hit me. He can't hit me. And as he's trusting his peripheral right now. He's literally slipping punches that B-Rob's throwing while directly looking at the corner. Y'all niggas, bro, I know this shit sound crazy, bro, but I swear to God on my son's life, this shit happened. This nigga's talking shit to my dad, and he's talking shit to my dad's old partner. B-Rob was a big puncher, bro. Go look him up on BoxRec. Brandon Robinson. He was a fucking knockout artist, bro. And this one Boots was at 47. So 54, 60, 60, 3 weight classes above him. B-Rob used to walk around heavy as shit, 200 plus pounds. And B-Rob was definitely heavy around that time, because I don't even think he had a fight lined up. But he's literally looking at my dad and his old partner. And it's like, yo, but he can't, but he listening to the instructions. He like, but he can't hit me. But he can't hit me. But he can't hit me. Nigga, what? This nigga is throwing missiles at your fucking dome right now. And you making this nigga miss by a centimeter when you're not even looking at him. That's when I knew. I said, yo, this nigga's a fucking demon. Like, I ain't never seen no shit like this in my life. One of the first things you learn is never take your eyes off of your opponent. And I've never done that. I don't believe in my abilities enough to do some shit like that. Because the ones that knock you out is the ones you don't see. So if you're literally not looking at the punch and they punch you dead in your shit, that might be the shit to put you out. Boots No, none of that. You nigga, I'm looking at your punches from here. I'm not even directly looking at you, and I'm making you miss while I'm talking shit to your corner at the same time. That was one of the most disrespectful, craziest moments that I've ever seen. Like that's one of the craziest moments I've ever experienced in my life at the gym. And this nigga went and did a whole workout after that. I won't forget that neither. He did the 8 rounds with B-Rob. B-Rob was totally spent. He like, God damn, like this motherfucker. This nigga Boots went, did bag work. He in the double end bag, ab work. I'm like, this nigga's a fucking monster. I said, where did they find this little nigga at? Fucking beast, bro. Fucking beast. So I know that was a long, drawn-out ass answer of saying, but that's when I knew that Boots, like I always knew he was a fucking beast, but that's when I knew he was different. It's a difference between being super nice and being different. Like different as in like God gifted. Boots is God gifted, but what makes Boots different than a lot of the people that are God gifted, he has the work ethic to match it. Boots in the gym every day. For a while, Boots was that nigga who will fight on Saturday, take off Sunday, and then be in the gym Monday. Well, nigga, then you just fight. Like, yeah, I'm gonna just wait. I watched my fight over. Mind you, he had like a second, third round knockout or something. I feel like I could just use my jab more. So he'll just be hitting the bag with one glove on. Or, he'll fight on a Friday, then go for a run Sunday. Like he was that type of dude, bro. He was that type of dude. I wish I would have seen his fights because we fought on the same card with Boots a few times. I remember there was this one fight that he had at the Sugar House Casino. He came out looking like Boots. He had like a fur. He had like a white fur outfit, but at the hood it was red, so he looked like a rooster, right? He fought the toughest Mexican bull that I've ever seen him. Like he had to be one of the toughest Mexicans that I've ever seen in person. Boots hit this nigga with like 20 punch combinations, and this nigga wouldn't go nowhere. I wish I could find that shit, bro. I think it was this nigga by the name of Gustavo. I think I see it right here. This was at Sugar House Casino. Let me see if he fought at Sugar House. Nah, it wasn't this dude. Yeah, it was definitely this dude. It's some dude by the name of Gustavo Gary Bay. This nigga right here literally got hit with everything that Boots had, and this nigga wasn't going nowhere. And then, like, just out of nowhere, just like, you know what, I can't, like, wasn't knocked out, just be like, yo, I can't take it no more. Like, he was just like, I'm cool. Like, that performance right there was crazy. Boots was a fucking beast, cuz that's all I know. That's all I know. But yeah, Jay Cash said he was on his Mayweather. No, for sure. A Singh said, yo, Mazuma, who Boots styling on in the Lima episode at 1843? And that episode on Boots' channel. I don't know. Let me see. Let's take a look. I gotta see Virgil. I gotta see his channel. 1843. Let's take a look. I don't know who that is. Southpaw? I don't know who that is. It says Dante on his gloves. Hold on, I might just figure this out. Dante Lane. His name was on his boxing gloves, y'all. Yeah, that's exactly who that was. Dante Lane is an 8-0 super middleweight. That's a southpaw, and that's definitely him. So, simple research. There it is. That was somebody by the name of Dante Lane. And the reason why I was able to figure that out is because one glove that looked like it was custom had his left glove had his first name on it, and his right glove had his last name on it. And doing a simple search, and based off it, that's definitely his face. Yeah, that was Dante Lane. So shout out to Dante Lane for getting Boots some work. You know, he got a high knockout ratio too. 8-0, 7 KOs. It's dope. Okay. He's from New York. Shout out to New York. Yeah, Boots a fucking monster, bro. J Cash said Boots is so talented, man. I just want him to get his opportunity to prove all of those who speak negative about him wrong. Yep. I hope so too. He said, I don't want Boots to take the chance, but who's to say Virgil hits him and it has no effect on him? Just throwing that out there. If it don't, then that's gonna be a huge issue. Like, but Virgil not like this one punch knockout artist anyway. Like, he not like this for the most part. Like, he not this dude that just be hitting motherfuckers and they just go to sleep. You definitely don't want to take, a lot of punches from him. You definitely don't want to do that to the head or the body. But he not like this fucking god level puncher like an Ernie Shavers or something like that, where it's like, bro, if he just touch you, if he just graze you, he gonna put you out. Like, no, it ain't like that. But all right, I'm gonna get up out of here, man. I appreciate everybody that came through and show love as always. Y'all can go ahead and hit the like button on the way out. That'll be very much appreciated. We on the road to 4K. We well into the 3,300 mark. Looking to hit that 3,400 mark in due time. Shout out to the nation in the mile for making this possible. I'll be back at y'all with another live tomorrow, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to continue cooking up on what's going on in the boxing world, man. So until then, hope you guys have a blessed, beautiful one. I'm up out of here, man. Peace.